I have a project I'm working on which requires a little bit of embroidery, and I've had a lot of you ask me, how does embroidery even work? So I want to show you today how I set up my embroidery machine. This is a Babylock Aurora. It is a sewing and embroidery machine. So I can sew anything I want to on this, but I can also switch it out to embroidery when that time arises. So let me show you how I set my machine up, and hopefully this will be helpful to you. Even if you don't have this specific type of machine, the process is very similar across brands. So let me show you how it works. The first thing we're gonna do is attach our embroidery foot. This is my embroidery foot. Yours will probably be similar to this. And the way that we attach this is with this little screwdriver. You're going to first take off your current presser foot. I like to stow mine away so I don't lose it. And then you're gonna unscrew this left side screw, and that'll drop your presser foot holder off of the machine. Stick that in your drawer as well. Now loosen up that screw pretty much as far as it'll go without coming out. What we're gonna put in is the embroidery foot. We're gonna go in between the needle and this bar right here. And on mine, it's this little mouth part that wraps around the screw. Okay, so you should have your needle hovering over this circle. Hold it in place back against that screw and then tighten it so that it stays put. Perfect. The next thing we need to do is switch out our flatbed. This drawer on the Babylock Aurora slides right out, and this is similar on a lot of machines. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is how you remove it across brands. We are going to replace it with the embroidery unit, which looks like this. And it slides on exactly like that little drawer. Now your machine is gonna recognize that it's different, and it's gonna restart my screen over here. So now my machine is recognizing that it's different. Okay, this is gonna give you a warning message. And now you're gonna be in your screen for your embroidery stitches. Let's talk about thread for a second. I like to use embroidery specific thread. This is Floriani embroidery thread. It's silkier. It has a sheen to it, so when you do those embroidery stitches, it really stands out beautifully. Highly recommend an embroidery type thread when you are embroidering. For my bobbin thread, I like to use the Finishing Touch bobbin thread. It is 100% polyester. It's a 60 weight thread. And the nice thing about embroidery projects, for the most part, is you can just use plain white for pretty much everything, because obviously the backside is going to be covered up at some point by something because it's not cute. So load your embroidery, so load that bobbin thread in just like you normally would. Now you can get embroidery specific needles. I don't have any right now, so I'm just gonna use a universal 80-12. You load the embroidery thread just like you would your regular thread. This is my embroidery frame. It comes with 2 pieces, and pay attention to these little arrows because those are gonna be your guides for how to keep things straight and even. Loosen up your screw on the side here and pop this inner piece out. Now for the fabric that I'm using today, it's very flimsy, kind of velour, so it definitely needs a stabilizer. I'm using a tearaway stabilizer. There is water soluble stabilizer. There is iron-on stabilizer. There's a million different types of stabilizer out there, and you can research that a little bit more to figure out what's best for your project. I like these because they come in little sheets, and I can just use it on each project and get rid of it when I'm done. So I'm gonna lay the stabilizer down first. And I have not trimmed my fabric down yet. This is way bigger than what I'm gonna be doing for my project. But I got this little fat quarter from the Dollar Tree, and I'm not worried about wasting some of this fabric if I don't use the whole piece. You can always cut your piece down if you want to, but I recommend leaving some extra for sure. And you're gonna definitely need enough to reach outside of your frame. So this is a little bit more than I need, but it'll be fine for today. Once I have this fabric laying on top of my stabilizer, I'm gonna lay the top part of my frame down and press so that it goes into the frame below. Now, if it doesn't go in very easily, go underneath and loosen that screw a little bit more. Do your best to keep everything as straight as you can, but we'll adjust this in a minute. Once I get it in, I like to pull on that fabric just a little bit to get it nice and taut inside that embroidery hoop. Now, I am not using the easiest fabric ever to embroider on, but hey, that's where we're at today, so that's what I'm showing you. I'm going to tighten that screw underneath so that it holds all of my fabric and stabilizer nicely in place. You can even pull it a little bit more once you get it in. You want it to sound like a drum when you hit it. That means it's nice and tight in your frame. Because this is extra fabric that's a little bit more than I need, I'm going to just clip this. Back to our machine. Do you see on the side here, I've got these 2 screws sticking out? Well, I've got a perfect place for those to fit on my machine right here. You can see right there. So I'm going to slide this underneath my needle and come over to this side and snap it into place. When you hear it click, you know that it's nice and secure. We are now locked and loaded for embroidery. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to embroider this little girl's name on this, making a little ribbon lovey for her where it's going to have soft silky ribbons on the outside and then have her name on the middle. These are the fonts that are preloaded into my machine. Let's see. I think this one's cute. And I'm going to type her name. Now, sometimes on these smaller hoop machines, it's going to tell you that things are a little bit too big, what you're shooting for. So click OK. And down here in the left side, this is going to give you a little bit of variation in their size. So this is large, medium, and small. I'm going to go to medium because I knew I almost made it. And I'm trying to decide if I want to do this in all caps or let's see what it would look like in lowercase. I think I like that better. Okay, so I might be able to go back to large on this one now. Yes, I can. So click set. This is where you can make some adjustments. I'm going to make this as big as it'll go. And I'm going to move it. It got pushed down a little bit. If you want to move it up, sometimes you can drag it on your screen. Other times you can move it using move. And that'll give you options to go down and up. I'm going to try and just get it centered. I think this looks good. I'm going to click edit end and then embroidery. What this is telling me on the screen is that it's going to take 6 minutes to embroider, and I am going to lower my presser foot and I'm just going to hit my start button and let the machine go to work. Now this clip might become problematic, so I'm going to pull him out. And literally that is it. Now the machine is in control and it's going to take care of doing all the work for me. And that's how you set up your machine for embroidering. I'll meet you back here in 6 minutes and I'll show you how little Maddie's name turned out on this adorable fabric. Okay, it tells me that we're finished embroidering and it turned out beautifully. So I'm going to lift my presser foot, and on this side here, I'm going to use this little bar and push it back gently to release the hoop. Pull it out straight out of the machine, and then let me show you what to do next. This turned out so cute. All right, loosen the screw underneath. And once it's loose enough to pop it out, pop the top part of the frame out. And I like to just immediately put this right back in, and I store my embroidery thread and the hoop and some of my other embroidery accessories in a box, and I just put this right back in the box. Oh, that turned out really good. Now you'll see that you have some connector threads. So this is a good time to get your snips out. Snip all those little threads as best you can to get rid of those just little extra threads. Clean it up a bit. And once you do all that, I'm just going to tear away this stabilizer. And I'm not even going to mess with the part that's right up in the design because it's not that big of a deal. I'm going to finish clipping these threads. Got 2 more to go. Quilting cotton would not be this difficult. Look at me always taking the hard way. All right. There it is. A beautifully little embroidered piece for Maddie. That's how you set up your embroidery machine. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Like and follow for more.